Hello folks, this is Retirement Crypto. Today, Sunday, November 19, 2017. I'm going to do another video about cryptocurrency. And with this video, I'm going to talk about Leonardo. Leonardo, as you know, is a trading terminal that also provides with two trading bots in this app. So I'm just going to try to explain how I use this application to do trades on Bittrex. So that's the exchange that I'm currently in, registered. Now, if you don't have Leonardo or you would like to try it, you can download it from the website. I will put a link in the description. And then when you log in, you can have the markets. And you just have to choose one of the demo exchanges listed to try it out. So the application is fully functional. Everything works. But it will only simulate your trades, so your buys and sells will be simulated. They don't actually will happen in real life, but you will see and you can see how it performs. Now, Leonardo has this, so you can see the layout of Leonardo. You have the candlestick graph showing. I currently have the pair NAV and VTC listed. And it can tell you here what is the current price of the coin, what's going on with this coin in the last 24 hours, and then you have the graphic that shows here, and you have the time frames. Now, bear in mind these time frames are for the whole window, so it's not actually the size, the time for each candlestick. It's for the whole window. So in this case here, you're looking at the graph for the past 12 hours. So when you're checking this, your trades, you need to take that in account when strategizing. And then, of course, you have the volume. It shows here how much volume was traded in the last 12 hours. So roughly, and also the amount in Bitcoin. So this is important because if a coin has a high volume, then it's going to fluctuate and you have better chances of trades. So I'm just going to switch here to 1 day. As you can see, in the last 24 hours, 103 Bitcoins have been traded. So it's a very active coin, so that's a good thing. Now, the graph is a little bit busy because I have 6 indicators turned on. So just to help me strategize and decide on my trades. So I have the RSI indicator, which is a good indicator to decide when to buy or to sell. So basically, I'm just using the default values, and basically what this indicator tells me, so if it goes above the 70 line, means it's time to sell. So I'm not going to buy anything at this point. And if it's below the 30 line, that means perhaps it's time to buy. So if I wanted to trade here using just this indicator, at this point here, it probably wouldn't be a bad idea to buy. Then next on the line, I have the Bollinger Bands. That's another indicator to help strategize, to decide. Basically, the Bollinger Bands, the way you look at it, in simple terms, if the candlestick goes out of the shadow, the Bollinger Bands, again, so it's probably time to sell, not buy, and vice versa on the downside. So if it's out of the shade, then it's probably not a bad idea to buy. So you combine that with the RSI, so that gives you an idea if it's time to buy or not. So for example here, if I looked at here, so it's out. So looking at the Bollinger Bands, okay, seems like it could be a good opportunity to buy. But then looking at the RSI, you see it's going down. It's not slowing down, it's going down. So at this point, if I was at this time here, I would have just waited a little bit longer, see until this line would change and would start going up. So at that point, then yes, would be a buying opportunity. So at this point here, you see it starts to flatten out, then maybe I would buy. But then I also use the exponential moving averages. So I use 2 lines, one with 13 candles and the other one with 34 candles. And the way it works that I use it is that if the smallest moving average, so the 13 candles, is below the 34 candles, then it's a signal to buy. So it indicates me that it's a buying sign. And if it's above the 34 candle line, then it's a sign to sell. So again, so this would help me here. So if I was again back in this, if I was looking to trade on this platform, so as you can see, at this point here, I would have not bought because the lower, the smaller candle, sorry, the smaller moving average is actually above the 34. So it means, okay, it's not buying time yet. And here it just crosses, still not a good time. And then around here, I probably, then at this point I would say, okay, this could be a buying time opportunity here. I don't know if I would buy at this point or not, especially because at this point there's a green candle here. So that could have signaled that it's rebounding up again. So yeah, so I probably, if I was to buy, I would have bought probably around here. So there you go. So with these three indicators, that gives you an idea when how to do trades. So it's a great tool for that. This Leonardo, the graphic is actually, I find it's faster and more accurate than the Bittrex graphic actually. And as you can see here, same thing. So at this point, the short exponential moving average is above the longest one. So that means it indicates it's time to sell. And as you can see here, the RSI also confirms that it's almost at the overbought indicator. So yeah, it would then could be a sell. And so on. So this is indicator. There's also another indicator here that I have, which is just using the simple moving average, which is, so I have the long term, which is the blue one, and I'm using the Bollinger Band line for the short simple average. And this also helps to determine what the trend of the trades are. So if it's an uptrend or downtrend, although visually you kind of can see that it seems to be on a uptrend right now for this coin. So it's just to help. It doesn't really help me determine when it's time to buy or sell, but it gives me an indication where it's going. Finally, I use this indicator as well. It's called parabolic SAR. This just basically tells you so the trend of the coin. So when it's down and when it's up. So it kind of gives you the spaces, and it just helps you see the overall picture. So for example, now I'm going to choose another pair. Let's take a look at NEO, see what we got for an example. So it's just buffering here. So as you can see here, NEO is clearly on the downtrend because the long moving simple average is now above the simple average, which is shown by the red thin line, which is just a simple moving average out of the Bollinger Bands. So it's above. So that means right now it's going down because the trades are, the average is below. So that kind of indicates that as well. And as you can see here, so right now this would be a good investment, a good trade. So at this point, if I was to trade on this platform, here I probably would have, it would be a good time to buy because look, it's below the oversold, although it doesn't want to break it, but it's below the 30 line, so buying signal. The exponential moving average, so the yellow line is way below the orange line, so buying signal again. So this, at this point, and of course the candlesticks are outside the Bollinger Band shade. So this means this is a good buying opportunity right here. So this is just to show you folks how I can use Leonardo more efficiently than using the Bittrex, because it's a lot easier to trade. And then of course you can do the manual trading, or then you can use the bots that it offers. So it has the margin maker, static ping pong. These are just simplistic bots. The margin maker does require quite a bit of babysitting. So you can leave it alone, but you really need to keep an eye on it. and make adjustments to the sales. So if I was to set up an automatic bot here, the margin maker, so I probably would reduce, so that way it would change the prices to a 2-hour window. So as you can see, it changes the window that it looks at, calculates. The buy margin is basically the bot starts and sees what was the lowest point that it took a sale in the last 2 hours, and then the trading window margin just tells you, okay, so out of the lowest, when do you want to get a buy? So in this case, you usually have it around 10 or so. It's usually a good volume. And so the same thing for the sell margin. Again, it determines when do you want to sell. So you really want to sell it as soon as possible, or you can want to maybe reduce it and wait and get a bigger profit. So usually around the value of 15 to 20 is usually what I use. Here, the order age, that tells me in minutes, well, in hours, but here it's showing every 10 minutes. It tells me how long it's going to refresh the orders. So if you set up an order now, and it creates an order, let's say to sell order here at this range, so it's going to take 10 minutes for the system to refresh it and recalculate. So if the price goes up, it will sell at that point. So you want cash. So you don't want a long term, unless you know it's a low moving trading, and you don't want it too short. Otherwise, it just keeps refreshing, and you might get banned from Bittrex or something because you're using the site too much or something. So I usually use around 5 to 3 minutes at a time. So 3 minutes, for example. I could use a stop loss, which is exactly what it means. So if you use a stop loss, and it shows you on the map on the screen, so the price would have to drop way to this value for it to sell automatically and stop the bot. So it's just a safeguard. This option unfortunately does not sell and then start again and create a new buy. For that you have to use the minimum effective gain by using a negative value. So if I put -5, what this option here does, that you can tell the bot what is your minimum gain that you want. So if I put a 1%, so that means when the bot is calculating, and once it gets a buy, it will never put a sell below 1% gain in this case, or 2% or 3 or 5. Now on the other hand, if you put a negative value, so -5, then the bot can create a sell order below your buy, so you would be in loss. But it's like a stop loss, and that automatically restarts. But it works differently. It doesn't work that way. So let me just see if I can give you an example here. So let me just increase the window. So let's suppose there was a buy. Okay, I want to buy here. So this is just for example. For example, at the time, let's say the bot bought a trade here, or here, for example, at this value here. Doesn't matter. So suppose he bought it here at the time. Now, as you can see, then the bot continues, the time goes forward, and then the coin drops. And as the coin drops, so the sell value also drops. So this option, this 5%, will only kick in when this the sell margin drops below your buy. So when it drops your buy, then at that point, the bot will say, okay, well, if the price is below 5%, I'm going to sell it. And it's going to sell it, it's going to create a sell order at 5%. So what this means here, for example, now this is 17% here right now. So let me just reduce here. So put a 50. So you look, so the system would then would put a value, a sell at around this area, so 5% from the buy. So this is a way of doing a trailing loss, but you could potentially lose more than just 5%. It really depends on how the coin drops. So you have to be careful with that. Anyway, so that's how I just wanted to show you here how I use Leonardo. I have a VTC here. I currently have 3 bots running on it. So you can have several bots, multiple bots running. And I'm doing that on VTC because it seems to be kind of going sideways right now. And so the RSI indicator, it's not overbought or oversold. And I have different values for my strategies. So the idea is to, well, if it goes up a lot or it goes down, then to try to average out the profit. And another thing interesting about Leonardo is that when you set up your margin, it tells you what is your potential gain, and this includes your fees. So if I get a buy at this level, as it is right now, and I sell it where it is right now, I would earn a 1.31%. So after the fees. So that's another interesting point. So as you can see, I have it here. So different strategies, so in 3 different bots. So I'm trying to see if it works. So yeah, the indicators don't seem too bad. The Bollinger Bands seem to kind of being narrowing, so that means it's probably going to break one way or the other. That's usually what happens. So I'm hoping that it will drop low enough before it opens up again, which then at that point I would get a few sales here. Looking at the past day, so as you can see, it's kind of going sideways. Had quite a jump there, but then it just seems to have stabilized. Has good volume, so it's moving, and so it's showing here my 3 buys right now, and should be getting close to a sell here, hopefully. And yeah, and as you can see, my yellow exponential is below the orange, so it means it's a buy signal. And the blue line, it's just about to meet the lowest simple average. So yeah, so it's not too bad. So yeah, I'm going to see how it goes. So anyway, so that's I just wanted a video just to show you how you can use Leonardo for your advantage. It's more intuitive than the Bittrex, although Bittrex does offer a lot more indicators. And I understand the developer of this of Leonardo is going to have more indicators to this. But right now I'm using these because I don't want to, it's already cluttered as it is, but I don't want to clutter it too much. There's also the MACD, but I don't really use it. With these indicators, I think it covers what MACD would offer. But anyway, so that's what it is. So it's highly customizable. It works pretty good, and yeah, I do recommend it. Also, developer has mentioned that he's going to include more bots in future versions. So yeah, and oh yeah, just to finish, the price for this bot is for this trading terminal is $89. So it's a reasonable price. I know there are other bots out there. They are more expensive, and they're probably much better than Leonardo. But you're talking about $400, $800 licenses, or monthly fees to use their programs. Because I'm just a little shrimp in the cryptocurrency world, so I'm a small investor. I can't really justify spending that kind of money at this time. So Leonardo fits my profile. I'm using it. I'm pretty happy with it. It has some issues, obviously, but I mean, the developer is very active, is responsive, so it's a good app overall. So I recommend it. And if you have any questions about this application, you can certainly ask them in the comment section. I'll try to answer all of them. And so I just wanted to show you. So if you have any questions, leave a comment. As I said, press the like button if you like my videos, subscribe to them, and share the videos so more people get to see them and learn about cryptocurrency. And that's all I have. Peace out.